You know, folks, there are so many times here on the channel that I've said we can't depend on the kids to save us. That's a quote that I used to say years ago. I used to think that when the kids grew up, they would be smarter and they would grow up and they would vote out all the extremism that we see, and they would be the ones that would bring about progress. But what you got to understand is when you go back and look at all of the racial tension that was going on in the 60s, and you go back and look at the videos of people throwing rocks at Martin Luther King, spraying the black people with the water hoses, squirting mustard and ketchup on their heads at the lunch counter. I used to see all those horrific images, and I would say to myself, where did those people go? Because I was raised up at a time when, my family was good people. I wasn't around any of that, and no one in my town appeared to be that way. I'll say it that way. They didn't appear to be that way, so I used to say to myself, well, I guess that's all over with now, and we're moving forward. And these days, I just apologize for being very naive and not realizing that, hey, it was always there. It was always bubbling under the surface. And Donald Trump came along and just ripped the Band-Aid off every bit of it. And so when I say we can't look to the kids to save us, this here is going to be Exhibit A as to why we can't. I'm going to be bringing you up an article here. This was from Politico. And when I saw this, I think the saddest part about me seeing this article is that when I saw it, my first response was, I'm not shocked. But yeah, folks, this is from the Young Republicans Racist Chat Group. And the text leaked, and it's pretty damn disgusting, but I'm going to read it. And I'm always going to point out that this is who MAGA is. This is MAGA. And we have to call it for what it is. We can't sit here and try to sugarcoat it. We can't do what J.D. Vance did, which was completely downplay it and refuse to call it out. We have to call it out. This is straight up wrong. And we're always going to. So, I love Hitler. Yeah, I actually said that out loud in 2025. I love Hitler leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape. I'm going to read just a few of these here. You can see them right here. One says, everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber. Another one said, also, we are officially under consideration for a Trump endorsement. I'm ready to watch people burn now. Over here it says, you're giving nationals too much credit and expecting the Jew to be honest. Great, I love Hitler. I'd go to the zoo if I wanted to watch monkeys play football. If we ever had a leak of this chat, we would be cooked for real. But actually, the sad part is, folks, this chat got leaked, and Republicans aren't calling it out. They're never going to call it out because this is who they are and this is their base. So let's read this article together, and it's truly disgusting. But leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They referred to black people as monkeys and as watermelon people, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide, and lauded Republicans who they believed supported slavery. William Hendricks, the Kansas Young Republican vice chair, used the N-word. I'll just put it that way. I don't want to say that out loud either way. He used the N-word, variations of the racial slur, more than a dozen times in the chat. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans at the time, referred to rape as epic. Peter Giunta, I guess I'm saying that right, don't really care, have no respect for him, who was at the time the chair of the same organization, wrote in a message in June that said everyone that votes no should go to the gas chamber. Giunta was referring to an upcoming vote on whether he should become chair of the Young Republican National Federation, the GOP's 1,500-member political organization of Republicans between 18 and 40. I'm going to create some of the greatest psychological torture methods known to man. We only want true believers, he continued. And two other chat members responded. Now, I'm going to be careful as I'm reading this so I don't slip up and say some of the words I'm sure they used, but everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber, and everyone that endorsed but then votes for us is going to the gas chamber. Then the next person says, when do we start bullying, dude? We have solid 3 people who can probably have them want to jump. If they vote for us, why would they be gassed? Where do we bring that side out? I'm going to create the greatest psychological torture methods known to man. We only want true believers. Can we fix the showers? Gas chambers don't fit the Hitler aesthetic. I'm ready to watch people burn now, one said. We got to pretend like them. Hey, come on in, take a nice shower and relax, then boom, they're dead. Yeah, folks, that's what these assholes are saying. The exchange is part of a trove of Telegram chats obtained by Politico and spanning more than 7 months of messages between young Republican leaders in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. The chat offers an unfiltered look at a new generation of GOP activists how they talk when they think no one is listening. Since Politico began making inquiries, one member of the group chat is no longer employed at their job, and another's job has been rescinded. Prominent New York Republicans, including Elise Stefanik and state minority leader Rob Ortt, have denounced the chat. Festering resentments among young Republicans have now turned into public recriminations, including allegations of character assassination and extortion. The 2,900 pages of chats shared among a dozen millennial and Gen Z Republicans between early January and mid-August chronicle their campaign to seize control of the National Young Republican Organization on a hardline pro-Donald Trump platform. Many of the chat members already work inside government or party politics, and one serves as a state senator. Together, the messages reveal a culture where racist, anti-Semitic, and violent rhetoric circulate freely, and where Trump-era loosening of political norms has made such talk feel less taboo among those positioning themselves as the party's next leaders. And that's the key phrase here, folks. This is the next leaders of the Republican Party. So if you think this is going to be over and the kids are going to save us, these are the kids that are coming up. The more political atmosphere is open and liberating, like it has been with the emergence of Trump and more right-wing GOP even before him. It opens up young people and older people to telling racist jokes, making racist commentary in private and in public, said Joe Fagan, a Texas A&M sociology professor. He's also concerned that words would be applied to public policy. It's chilling, of course, because they will act on those views. The dynamic of easy racism and casual cruelty played out often in dark, vivid fashion inside the chats, where campaign talk and party gossip blurred into streams of slurs and violent fantasies. The group chat spoke freely about the pressure to cow to Trump and avoid being called a rhino, the love of Nazis within the party's right wing, and the president's alleged work to suppress the documents related to wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein's child sex crimes. Trump's too busy burning the Epstein files, Alex Dreyer wrote. He's the chair of the Young Kansas Republicans. Dyer and I can't pronounce the other person's name declined to comment, and neither did Maligno, and Hendricks did not return requests for comment. But some involved in the chat did respond publicly. Guyana, which I can't pronounce these people's names, nor do I really care. But one of them claimed the release of the chat is part of a highly coordinated year-long assassination led by Gavin Wax and New York City Young Republicans Club. Those logs were sourced by a way of extortion and provided to Politico by the very same people conspiring against me. What's more disheartening is that my unwavering support of Donald Trump since 2016 Rouge, members of his administration, including Gavin Wax, have participated in a conspiracy to ruin me publicly because I challenged them privately. Well, we can all see what was said privately. I mean, that's the thing about these people. They never, ever take any accountability whatsoever. But despite his allusions to fighting, he still apologized. He said, "I'm sorry to those offended by the insensitive and inexcusable language found within the more than 28,000 messages of a private group chat that I created during my campaign for the Young Republicans. While I take complete responsibility, I have had no way of verifying their accuracy and deeply concerned that the message logs in question may have been deceptively doctored." And that's always what they say about this stuff, folks. It's always, well, the Epstein files, if they're released tomorrow, they've been doctored. That's always the way that they go about this. They don't ever take any responsibility. But I think it's very important going forward that we always hold their feet to the fire and that we always point to this is who MAGA is. And whoever is the Democratic nominee in 2028 needs to stand there beside J.D. Vance, or heaven forbid, Donald Trump's still standing up there. They need to stand up there and they need to call this out. They need to say, that is who you are. What did J.D. Vance do, though? He just simply said he wasn't going to get into the middle of this, and he pulled up a chat from a Democrat and said, oh, this is way worse. Never took responsibility for a damn thing, never will. That's some of the most vile, disgusting shit that we've ever seen. And they want to sit and say, oh, the people are conspiring to bring us down. No, that's what you were saying behind closed doors. That's what you had no problem saying. That's who you really are. And that's who MAGA truly is. Donald Trump pulled the Band-Aid off the wound. He reopened the wound that so many people had tried so hard to fix over the years. And he has done so much damage. And that's why I say this. That's why I always try to drive this point home. Folks, when you have people go out there like the Bill Maher's of the world, and they jump on this train of beating everyone down that they say is woke, and they start calling everyone woke, and anytime you try to raise awareness on racism, you're woke, all that does is just create an easier path for people like this. That's all that it does. Because as kids grows up, they're being raised by these people. They're growing up being raised by these people thinking that's normal, and then when they go to school or they go somewhere else and someone calls them out for it being racist, and they go home and tell their mom or dad, hey, we got called a racist today. Oh, don't pay no attention to that. Them people's just woke. So that's why I have such a problem when people are always declaring war on woke and trying to act like it's the end of the world because someone points out racism. I don't play the race card unless someone says something racist. I don't call someone a racist just because I'm losing an argument. I call them a racist when they say racist shit like this. And if Republicans can see this and not call it out for the bullshit that it is, then they're guilty by association. And then that's how I'm automatically going to assume they talk in their private texts. But those people are the people, the young Republicans that are going to be coming up. So if you think this is going to go away or get better, it's not. We have got to continue to stand up against racism, stand up against bigotry, stand up against injustice, stand up against people trying to shred our Constitution and usher in a dictator. We have got to continue to stand up and call it every bit out. But these people are MAGA. That's exactly who they are. And anyone out there downplaying it or supporting it is just as bad as they are. They're guilty by association. I don't want to see people sit and try to gaslight us and say, oh, well, that was just a bunch of kids saying that, or they said that back then. No, that's exactly who they are. It's who they always have been. And, at least some of them out there just leans in and owns it. And when they do, at least you just know where they're at. I'll say that. Sometimes it's disheartening. It sucks to learn it. It sucks to learn who's the racist assholes and who's not, but at least the ones that just goes ahead and goes full-chested with it, at least we know where they are. And I'm glad to see these people exposed for who they are, and I wouldn't be surprised that those kind of chats it wouldn't surprise me. You can say young Republican leaders. Can you imagine the old ones? Can you imagine what their private text would have said back in the day? Could you imagine if George Wallace had a cell phone? Can you imagine how that one would have been going? So, yeah, folks, this is Charlie Kirk's legacy. At least he was saying this shit out loud on his show. He was saying it out loud on his podcast every day. But this is his legacy. This is who they are. And we're always going to make them own it. I ain't never going to let them off the hook for this one. I ain't never going to let them off the hook for January 6th. They're the party of racism. They're the party of domestic terrorism. And that's just the way I'm always going to call it. And until they can stand up and condemn it, go ahead, go pull up a Democratic chat group. I'll condemn them too. Let Bill Clinton be in the Epstein files. I'll condemn him too. Let Democrats be all in the Epstein files guilty of wrongdoing. I'll condemn them too. Put them to the bottom of the jail. I don't give a damn. Why can't they ever say that? Why do they always go to bat for this? Whatever you would go to bat for and defend that hard, you don't have a problem with. And so that's the only way that I can see this one. Anyone defending this or downplaying it is every bit as racist as those assholes.